These beautiful dresses are designed by Queen Esa, a talented fashion designer from Togo, West Africa. She creates elegant and modern pieces using colorful African fabrics like wax and Ankara, also known as Spania. Each dress is made with love and care. Her designs are not just fashion, they are works of art and a source of inspiration. They speak of beauty, culture, and pride. If her work inspires you, her contact number is written on the screen. Now let's listen to a special story, a story that shows how a beautiful dress can inspire change, confidence, and something deeper. There are some women who don't need to shout to be seen. They carry strength in their silence. They carry stories in their work. Aissatou was one of those women. She didn't grow up with gold or diamonds. She didn't have shoes from Paris or perfumes from New York. But when she walked into a room wearing her dress, people turned to look. They felt something even before she spoke. She grew up in a small village near Dakar where mornings smelled like fried bagels and the sound of the sea was always near. Her home was made of red earth and laughter. Her grandmother was the heart of the house. Her name was Mama Diara, and she was known as the village tailor. People came from far to have their dresses sewn by her hands. She didn't just sew, she listened, she told stories with every thread. Aissatou loved to sit quietly near her sewing table. She watched her grandmother fold the fabric, press it, cut it, stitch it, all while humming songs older than anyone could remember. One day, Mama Diara said, "A dress is not just beauty, it holds your spirit. When you walk, it speaks for you." Aissatou never forgot those words. As a child, she used to collect small scraps of fabric. She would tie them around her dolls, pretending to hold a fashion show under the mango tree. Sometimes she even dressed herself up and danced in the rain. Her mother would laugh and say, "One day this girl will bring light with her dresses." When Aissatou turned 16, her mother handed her a carefully wrapped box. Inside was a dress, gold wax print with blue waves and sun symbols. It had once belonged to Mama Diara. Aissatou touched it gently. It still smelled of hibiscus and shea butter. It still carried her grandmother's spirits. When she wore it for the first time, something inside her changed. She saw herself not as a girl anymore, but as a woman with a future. She whispered to herself, "I will make dresses that speak." Years passed. She moved to the city with just a small bag and a second-hand sewing machine. The city was loud, busy. At first, nobody noticed her, but she worked. She stayed up sewing while others slept. She practiced cutting, folding, creating. She studied colors, how red made people feel strong, how green brought peace. Sometimes she made mistakes, sometimes she cried. But every morning she started again and again and again. One day, a local woman saw Aissatou's dress hanging online and she asked, "Who made this?" That one question changed everything. Soon, more women came. Some were mothers, some were students, some had stories they couldn't tell, but they wanted a dress that could speak for them. Aissatou listened to them. She didn't just measure their size, she measured their feelings. When she finally showed her first fashion collection in Lagos, she was shaking, not from fear but from emotion. The models walked slowly, each one wore a piece of her journey, colors from the village, patterns from her dreams, shapes that felt like home. People clapped, some stood up, one woman cried. A journalist wrote the next day, "This is not just fashion. This is storytelling with fabrics." Her designs reached New York, Paris, Abidjan, London. Women wore her dresses on red carpets and family parties. Some even wore them to bury loved ones because they knew her dresses carried soul. But even with all her success, Aissatou never stopped sewing with her own hands. She always remembered the dress is only powerful when made with love. Years later, Aissatou stood in front of her mirror again. Her hair was now silver, her fingers are slower, but her spirit was still fire. She touched a new dress she had just finished, soft red with white leaves, a pattern from her mother's garden. She smiled and said softly, "This is who I am," because the dress wasn't just fabric, it was her memory, her grandmother, her village, her courage. Every time a woman wore one of her dresses, she passed on a piece of that spirit to remind women everywhere, you don't need to shout to be seen. Just walk with pride and let your dress speak for you. So this is an interesting story of Aissatou, and I hope you are inspired by this story. This is Salodi King channel, and this channel will display beautiful African masterpieces from different designers, and we'll try our best to write their contact numbers on the screen for you to have a direct link to them. If you love this my video and you want to watch more of it, just subscribe to my channel and you'll see more of my video. When you subscribe, you'll see all option. Just click on the all option and every of my upload you'll be the first person to watch. All right everyone, hope you enjoyed this video. See you in my next. Have a lovely day.